They say the village of Ealdwick is older than its own graveyard, that it was built upon something that should have never been disturbed. You won't find it on any map, nor in any record of the crown or church. Only the wind remembers the name, whispering it between the cracks of stone and soil. The place clings to the valley like a scar, its houses bent and warped by years of damp and neglect. And yet, if you stand there long enough, you'll hear it. A faint humming beneath your feet, soft but steady, as if the ground itself is alive and dreaming. The villagers call it the choir. No one really speaks of it after dark. They say it listens when you talk about it, that it can crawl into your voice and hum back. Years ago, a man named Edric Vane came to Ealdwick. He was a scholar, pale and tired-looking, who spent his life collecting forgotten stories, tracing myths that most men burned to ash. He'd heard rumors of living hymns buried beneath a chapel's ruins, songs that weren't sung by men but by the land itself. To Edric, that was enough reason to risk the fog. He wanted to find truth, but Ealdwick wasn't a place that gave truth easily. It swallowed it the way the earth swallows bones. When Edric first arrived, the villagers didn't greet him. They just watched from windows, their faces hollow, their eyes reflecting the gray sky. He found an inn, the Bent Heart, and asked for a lantern. The innkeeper shook his head, his hands trembling slightly as he poured ale. "No lights in Ealdwick after dark," he said quietly. "They see through the light." Edric laughed at that, chalking it up to superstition. But later that night, as he lay on the narrow bed, he heard something. A vibration, low and steady, moving through the wooden floor like breath through a lung. It wasn't wind. It wasn't any machine. It was a tone, deep and steady, filled with something alive. He rose, following the sound through the fog, down to the crooked chapel that leaned over the valley's edge. Its bell tower had long since collapsed, the cross rusted and twisted like bone. The heavy doors hung open, one missing entirely. Inside, the air was damp, thick with the scent of moss and something metallic, like rusted blood. The candles had melted to gray nubs, stuck in pews like little gravestones. Behind the altar, he found a hole, not dug by hands, too smooth, too round. The soil was black and wet, breathing steam into the air. When he leaned closer, the hum stopped. Then came a voice, not from above, not even from below, but from around him, low, layered, like 100 voices whispering through the earth at once. "Edric Vane," it said. "Hear the choir." He stumbled back, his heart hammering, his breath visible in the cold. The sound faded, and the chapel returned to its silence. But the ground still pulsed beneath his boots, faint and warm, like a heartbeat. In the morning, the villagers had gathered at the chapel. None spoke. They just stood, eyes fixed on the hole. Their faces were still, their expressions neither fear nor awe, just emptiness. When Edric asked what they were doing, no one answered. A woman selling herbs near the well finally looked at him. Her skin was grayish, like candle wax left too close to fire. When she spoke, her voice trembled, each word dragging like it was hard to breathe. "It calls all who hear it," she said. Then she pulled her collar down, revealing something beneath her skin. A thick, pulsing root twisting along her neck. "The soil remembers," she whispered, "and we are the choir now." That night, Edric packed his things. He planned to leave before dawn, but when he stepped outside, the road had changed. Every path he took led him back to Ealdwick Center. The fog didn't lift. It thickened, swirling as if alive, folding in on itself. No sound of birds, no rustle of wind, just the faint hum again, vibrating in the pit of his stomach. He returned to the chapel. The hole had widened overnight, swallowing part of the altar. The walls were slick with condensation, and from the black opening came warmth, like the breath of a living beast. He peered down, and for a second he swore he saw light moving beneath the soil. Not candlelight, something red, something alive. Then came the visions. Monks in robes, kneeling in a circle around a pit like this one. Their throats open and tongues stretched downward into the soil, singing through the blood. Their bodies trembled as roots burst from their spines, threading into the ground, joining with something vast beneath. A creature of tendons and bone, breathing through them. The monks' chants weren't prayers, they were food. Ealdwick woke up in his bed again, but his sheets were soaked in mud. The window was open though he didn't remember touching it. The same hum rolled faintly beneath the floor. The villagers were outside again, walking toward the chapel in single file. Some dragged their feet. Others walked stiff, their eyes rolled white, humming softly. He followed from a distance, his breath fogging the air. The villagers gathered at the edge of the pit. The woman with the root under her skin was the first to step in. Her feet sank like she was stepping into water. Then another followed, and another. One by one, they disappeared into the earth, swallowed silently. The ground pulsed once. Then the sound began again. Louder, stronger, layered with voices, hundreds of them. Ealdwick felt it crawl through his spine, into his skull. His vision flickered white and red. The chapel shook, its walls cracking, the altar crumbling. Then, from the pit, something rose. Roots, thick and black, tore through the floor. Flesh clung to them. Faces, hundreds of faces, stretched and writhing like wet clay. Their mouths moved in rhythm, forming a single massive shape that pulsed and breathed. The choir. It was no god. It was something that ate gods. Its hum became a scream, and the bell tower split apart, stone raining like teeth. The faces turned toward Ealdwick, their mouths opening wider than any human jaw should. The air tasted of iron and rot. He ran, stumbling into the fog, but every turn led him back to the chapel's ruins. The mist wasn't mist anymore. It was full of shapes, half-seen figures moving between the trees, their bodies twitching like puppets pulled by invisible threads. Their eyes were gone, replaced by dark holes that bled softly. "Stay," the earth whispered beneath him. "Sing with us." He fell to his knees, his hands in the mud. The soil was warm. It pulsed around his fingers like a throat swallowing. When he pulled back, tiny roots clung to his skin, writhing like worms. He screamed and tore them off, but they burrowed back, weaving under his nails. The hum grew louder, resonating through his chest until his ribs felt ready to split. He couldn't tell if he was screaming anymore or singing. The last thing he saw before the world went black was the choir unfolding into the sky, its body a cathedral of flesh, its sound shaking the valley like thunder. The villagers' faces bloomed from its surface, mouths open, singing the same endless note. When dawn came, there was no sign of Ealdwick. The valley was nothing but a crater of blackened soil, steaming faintly under the sun. At its center, one thing remained. A single tower of bone and wood, crooked and hollow. Inside it hung a bell. It was not made of metal, but cartilage and veins, still wet, humming softly when the wind passed through. They say if you walk through the valley today, and you press your ear to the ground, you'll hear it again. That faint hum, deep and steady. And if you listen too long, it begins to hum back. No one remembers when Ealdwick fell, or who sealed the valley afterward. Some say the church tried to sanctify the ground but failed. Others whisper that the choir is still growing, waiting for another voice to join its hymn. So if you ever hear that hum beneath your feet, if you ever feel the soil breathing, do not sing back. This story was told by echoes of reality, where the shadows still remember their names. Subscribe for more stories whispered from the dark.